Awesome. So today we are going to be answering the most common question we get asked, which is, what is it, Maureen?
What can a VA do for me in my business?
And today we're going to specifically focus on marketing. So Maureen's written a whole book which covers everything. So you might want to check that book out. So it's globalteams.com.au/book if you want to get the book with everything. But today we're going to be focusing on answering what a virtual assistant can do for you around marketing. And the answer is a lot. But before we get stuck into that, Maureen, in the book, as you can see on the next slide, you cover how virtual assistants all began. Would you like to share a little bit about the history?
Yeah, sure. So virtual assistants today is a term bandied about quite a bit. But it started over 40 years ago, actually, when people first realised that when you're working with someone and you've got staff, they don't actually have to be with you in the office. So it was like your secretary who could be in an office down the hall or could potentially be in another office and still do work with you with the advent of computing, etc. So it's really grown from there. Especially over the last 22 months, with everything that's been going on with the world, this realization that somebody doesn't have to be in the same room as you to do a great job for your business. So that's where we are now, Carmen, and I doubt that it's ever going to go back to what we once knew as people having to be in the office with you.
Yes, and Maureen has said she actually prefers me virtually. Apparently, I'm more annoying in person. So there are lots of advantages to having people working with you virtually. So today we're going to be talking about virtual assistants, so a bit of background. We've got a team of 80 amazing virtual assistants in the Philippines, some who work directly on our business, but also in other clients' businesses. So we've seen a lot of the sort of things that the virtual assistants have been able to work on. So today we're going to run you through some examples of what virtual assistants can do in the marketing space, because there's so much to it, and there's a whole heap of things that they can be done. But Maureen, you really feel strongly about people putting themselves out there and being noticed, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Because often people go in business because they are passionate about what they do, whether it's their field of consulting or supporting people or whatever they're selling, and it's not the people with the best product, the best consultants. It's not the best of the best that get most business. It's the people who can market themselves really well so that people notice them. So marketing, sometimes people get a bit caught up between the difference between marketing and sales. And the way I like to look at it is marketing is really letting people know what you've got to offer when they might never have heard of you before. So marketing, the more marketing you do on social media, does slightly move into sales. Because people will be seeing you more and more because your virtual assistant will be putting out your content and you'll be more out there. But it's really good to think, okay, people are missing out on buying my amazing service or product because I'm not working consistently enough on my marketing. So what are your thoughts on consistency in marketing, Carmen?
Well, I am not a consistent sort of person. I am up and down like a roller coaster. So some days I'll wake up and do 20 videos and then I won't do anything for 3 months. And so a lot of business owners I speak to, they're not quite as out there as me in their ups and downs, but a lot of business owners are ideas people. They're not consistency people who want to log in every day and do the same thing. And so I think consistency is essential when it comes to marketing, especially when you're super busy. It's important that your marketing is out there. So when you've finished that work, your leads are all there. But I think a lot of business owners struggle with it, which is fair. Like if you're running a successful business, you are probably not the best person to be doing that consistency thing. And also with this like marketing stuff, I remember when I was a baby business owner and I said to Maureen, Oh, Maureen, I think I'm a little bit scared about putting myself out there on social media because I tell you what, it is so scary. The first time I ever did any videos or anything, I was so scared. And Maureen was the most vicious I think I've ever seen her be. She said, "How dare you?" She paused and I was like quivering. And she's like, "How dare you not put yourself out there? You've got so much to offer the world. How dare you not put, yourself out there and what you've got to offer?" So I listen when Maureen speaks, and I've been putting myself out there ever since.
But the missing piece of that puzzle, I'm good at getting myself out there, but definitely not consistently either. Being in business 20 years, and I'd go through, we often go through that roller coaster of, oh, I need business, put myself out there, market. Oh, I've got lots of business coming in, I'll just, relax. So really what you've got to really be mindful of is that that ongoing consistency that might not make a huge splash. Like, it might not be that amazing Facebook ad that's going to get you leads straight away, but we do know that if people, continually see you popping up on social media, when they're ready, they'll think of you. So it's really, really vital to have that consistency. And what we mean by consistency, and a lot of what we're going to be sharing today, is the frequency of posting stuff on social media.
Yeah.
So
And Maureen,
yeah, go on.
Oh, so I was just going to share our amazing accountant, Paul Dobson. He once shared with people that he feels like he lives with us because he sees us so much on social media. I feel sorry for the man, that's full on living with us. But anyway, so that's the effect you can have on new people, but also people already in your network. They just keep on seeing you.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing, it's like during COVID, Carmen and I couldn't get together much to do content because we were, both in our own houses and lived far away from each other.
Or I was looking on the couch, either one,
Yeah. Or, Carmen was out hugging another tree. But, and I was wandering at night, looking at possums. But no one knew that either because we were seen to be consistent because our amazing team of virtual assistants were still, I was going to say regurgitating our marketing. That's a lovely image there, isn't it? Repurposing, not regurgitating. But it's, you get the drift. So even though we weren't doing, the doing was still happening.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be, if you get a good marketing system happening with your virtual assistant or assistants, then you don't have to be the one doing all the time. You've got someone else being consistent for you.
Right. So are you ready to get stuck into the details, Maureen?
Yes, please.
Okay, so we're going to talk about our first social media platform on the next slide, which is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is my favorite tool. When I started my business, and I realized very quickly that people weren't magically going to run to me for some reason, and I had these delusional thoughts that people were just going to know that I existed and what I had to offer. But when I worked out that they didn't, I had a look at all the platforms and I decided that for my business, LinkedIn was the place to be. So if you're a B2B business, if your business is all around building relationships, so consulting or high deal value, and you really want to do attraction marketing, so not that like hard sell, buy from me, have a meeting with me, let's see if we can help you, and it's just, this is what we've got to offer, and then people come to you. So LinkedIn is so powerful for those things. What are your thoughts on LinkedIn, Maureen? Because I knew that you were a disbeliever at the start.
Yes, I was a Facebook girl from way back because I'd played with ads early doors and got business through it. And I used to just connect with people because they looked quite nice. Oh, he's cute. Oh, she looks like a nice person. Connect really random. There was no consistency. There was no strategy to it. So Carmen got me on the LinkedIn train, and what a great train it's been. So that really skyrocketed our business and continues to be one of our biggest platforms that we play on. And our virtual assistants help us doing a lot of things on LinkedIn, Should we move into exactly what your VA can help you with in LinkedIn?
Yes, on the next slide, we've got some examples. So setting up a relevant and recent profile. So you see that like the cover photo, I didn't do that. I'm not a creative person, but the team did that for me. There's a highlight section in your profile. So I recently sent it to Charles, our amazing marketing manager, and said, hey, Charles, could you put some of our new downloadables there on Maureen and my profile? Maureen doesn't even know that I asked for this, and it's just going to happen. So it's about, getting those profiles, looking really sleek. So that's one thing. Now, the profile is like the landing page. So if someone does decide they want to stalk you, either because they're interested in your services or they think you look all right, the profile is the place they're going to go. So it's like, a really good place to start. So Maureen, do you have anything to add around the profile?
Yeah. So often people do a set and forget, and they maybe did it 20 years ago. So your photo's no longer relevant, or you put a photo and you're holding a bottle, or just something that's not really professional. So your virtual assistant can help you, source a really good photo, make it, Photoshop maybe the photo out, or make sure that it looks really good. So as Carmen said, it's the first thing they're going to see. So it's really worth getting someone to help you with that.
Yeah. So the next thing, as you'll see on the current slide, is that the virtual assistants can help you research and connect with people. So instead of just connecting with people that you think look a little bit handsome, like Maureen did in the past, we can be quite strategic. So for example, there was a time where CFOs were just coming to us in droves. And I said to the team, let's connect with every single CFO in Melbourne. And so we were able to actually find those people and connect with them. And so really targeting, and that day in, day out connection means that your profiles will grow. So I think Maureen and I both have about 18,000 connections now, which means that all those people are preferentially going to see our content, and we're able to message them, which we'll talk a little bit more in detail as well. So that's around researching and connecting with people.
And Carmen, how long would that take for you if you did that consistently yourself, researching and connecting?
Well, it depends. It's a piece of string question. Depends how much researching you want to do. If you use Sales Navigator filter, it might not take you that long. I don't know, maybe half an hour a day, but it's something you need to do every day.
Yes.
And you know how I am with doing things every day. Like unless it's
no one does. I've talked probably to thousands of business owners over the years, and they don't do it every day. We just don't. Who wants to be? And is it the best time of your life? Is it the best use of your time to be researching people to connect with on LinkedIn? I think not. I think your amazing virtual assistant could help you do that.
Yeah. So the next thing our virtual assistant can help you with on LinkedIn is creating content. So this is around, and so examples are when I'm feeling manic, I can shoot a video and I can say stuff, and then the team can make it look beautiful, put the captions on the bottom so people can read it in the toilet and other places, and then post it on social media. Other things they can do is when Maureen says something profound, like Sunny's and a member of our team is writing the quotes up in StreamYard. And so if Maureen says something profound in there, the team can actually put a photo of Maureen, her saying, and make it look all beautiful on Canva and post it up as well. So what are your thoughts on that, Maureen?
And what Carmen's a mastermind at distributing content and having ideas of the strategy around it. So, for instance, we're doing this live on LinkedIn, but we're also doing it to Facebook and to YouTube, and then we'll get the team to potentially cut it up into different sections and use it elsewhere. So there's real opportunity to just not do one bit of content and get your VA to put it up in one place. The other thing is you can reuse content. So maybe you have done a video and it's a bit of evergreen content. So you're going to talk about property investing because your business is that. And then, you go, well, the same principles of 4 years ago around property investing, the same principles, even if the market's changing, the principles are the same. So therefore you can use that piece of content again. And your virtual assistant can do it for you. Another thing our virtual assistants do, which is really great, is they create a table of the content. So they've got records for themselves of when they last posted certain content, either on Carmen's LinkedIn or my LinkedIn, and so therefore they know exactly when they can use that content again.
Yeah, and you'll see that the fourth thing virtual assistants can do for you on LinkedIn is posting content, which we've already touched on. And that table that Maureen spoke about that records all the content, it sounds simple, but so many business owners don't have it, especially as they've been producing content for years. They're saved in all different places. And it gets really hard to repurpose that content or regurgitate that content. And so last year, there were 3 months where I just didn't want to do a video. I was just not feeling it. And no one would have known because the team, they got videos that I'd done previously and popped them up. So no one knew that I was, not producing content. And so it's not only can your virtual assistants post content, but they can curate it. They can pull things from, historical things to make it so that you look like you're there all the time, even if you're, feeling a bit down or going on a holiday or whatever you're doing, they can post the content so people see you all the time.
Yeah. And the other thing is with content is I think sometimes people have to lose, being too precious about it, because even if they do say a meme, with a quote or, what you have to say or what you have to offer, that article you wrote, that thing you said, whatever it is, can be really helpful to other people. And again, you're doing people a disservice by not putting it out there. So I after a while, I just went, yep, that's, it's hit, sometimes, 1 out of 20 pieces of content, I'm like, oh, maybe that's not perfect. But it's still adding value. So really encourage you to get support of a VA so that you can have that consistency in the creation and the posting. Because Carmen, sometimes VAs are really good at giving you a bit of a kick up the butt too, metaphorically speaking, in creating content as well, aren't they?
Yeah, so I have a significant number of business owners say to me, oh, one of the reasons I want a virtual assistant is because if I know that they're going to need content to post, like I'm actually going to do it. Because sometimes we're our own worst enemy as business owners. We're like, oh, we know, well, we should do content, but then we're going to have to post it ourselves and everything. So if you know someone's there going, come on, bring on that content, baby, then you're more likely to do it yourself. So that's one of the things that people often find really valuable.
Yeah. Awesome.
So you'll see on the next slide, another thing a virtual assistant can do is notify you of leads. So at the start, when I was in LinkedIn, I just wanted to be in my inbox all the time. And it's like, ooh, I got a lead, at the start. But, as your business grows and matures, your virtual assistant can notify you of leads and actually then organize for you to meet them as well. So Jonathan, one of our amazing virtual assistants, he is in my LinkedIn inbox, multiple times a day, and he'll go, hey, Carmen, we've got this lead. I'm going to organize a meeting. And I'm like, great. Or Carmen, I've got this lead. They want to meet with you, but I'm not sure. Here's a screenshot of their profile, your call. And so he'll do that. Or, hey, Carmen, here's someone who says they want to have a chat, but, I think he's just trying to, hit on you or whatever. And so he's like that screening of all the messages, and he can just notify me of leads and then actually organize for me to meet with the stronger leads as well.
Yeah. And it sounds like a little thing for you to do, to go into your own LinkedIn and check it out, but it's really time consuming because you've got to get your head, that multi-switching, you've got to get your head into LinkedIn. You get distracted looking through the messages, etc., and working out, where the gold is and, what, who are people just trying to sell to you or date you or whatever it is. So if you've got someone managing all of that, like 90% of it, you don't even have to see. And that is, so liberating, where you only have to deal with the important stuff that you need to make a decision around. Otherwise, it just appears magically in your diary, the meeting time with that person, if it's relevant.
Yeah. And so the next one is also about leads because, LinkedIn marketing is awesome. And so if you do it right, you're going to get leads and you're going to get, a number of different leads. And there's going to become a point where they can't fit in your head anymore. So your virtual assistant can record those leads in a spreadsheet, or if you've got a CRM, so we use, Keep CRM, and you can, your virtual assistant can record those so that you can then know who you need to call back. Do you need to email this person? Are you going to add them to your newsletter? All those things. So you've got that record. What are your thoughts, Maureen?
Some people have got sieves instead of funnels, Carmen. So you've actually got people that you've touched in the past, you've marketed it to them, or they've seen you, or they've connected on LinkedIn, but they just escape out of your funnel when you're not actually recording them and following them up. So, for instance, Jonathan would say to us, sometimes he's not sure. He's just like, okay, Carmen, you've had a conversation with that person. Where do I now put the person? And that's originally someone who's come from LinkedIn, but it's almost like then you just drop people when someone else isn't there to hold the balls for you.
Yeah, and perhaps, Maureen, if I share some of the steps, because people often think, I've got someone interested and, you need to sell them straight away. But, the sales process can be extended, and often for complex services like virtual assistants, it can be extended because, you need to work out if it's a right fit for you, and we need to work out if you're a right fit for us, and is it going to work, and is it the right time in your business? Are you going to be able to support them when they start? All those things. So it does take a little bit of time, and you need to scope it and everything. So, our process is, we have a half an hour chat with someone, get to know them, and see if we think it might be a good fit. Then after that happens, if we both agree, we go to an hour conversation where we get inside each other's heads, we scope it, we work it out. And then from there, they might go, yeah, we become a client or not. They don't become a client straight away. They might need to go think about it or whatever. Then we've got processes to follow them up. So we keep track of them. Am I going to call them? I'm going to email them, or a bit of both. And then, after a few times, and if I think, these people would be so great to work with, I'd love to work with them, then we actually even send them a card to go, look, hey, thanks for the chat, maybe we can work together in the future. But then they also get our newsletters and whatever other paraphernalia we decide to send them as well. So, that initial conversation, it's going to be very hard for them to forget that we exist. And so they just keep on being touched by us until they make a decision either way.
Yes. And it helps you get your own processes clear in your head. So people, again, use LinkedIn a bit, have a CRM, use it a bit, it gets a bit messy or whatever, but having someone there, organizing it for you, and helping you work out what system you want to have with your leads is really, really important as well.
Beautiful. Awesome. And so there's so many things that virtual assistants can help with on LinkedIn. So let's run through them. So private message marketing, I know this is one of your favorite, Maureen's. Take it away.
So we've had loads of success through private message marketing. So people shy away from it and say, but it's spam or whatever. Again, I think that if you are offering something of value to someone, then it is not spam. If you're doing it, say, once every 3 months, which is what we do it, I don't think that it is spam either. So I'm going to give you an example. We have sent a beautifully written message. I write the words. The VAs will send this message through a LinkedIn private message to individual people. So it's not all automated. They put the message on all of our connections and say, hey, would you like a copy of Maureen's book? What a VA can do for you. It'll help you get clear on, how to use a virtual assistant in LinkedIn. It'll help you take the load off, whatever else copy I've written with it. And then the person can shoot through their email, or you could have a link to the book. So I think, and it's been really valuable for us because we've engaged with people. Some people have said, hey, I want a VA straight away. Haven't they, Carmen?
Yeah, so so we have sent messages to people about a book, and I've had someone go, I don't want to read the book, but I want to have a talk about getting a VA. We've sent messages about events in person and also virtual events as well. I even decided that speed networking was something I wanted to do for a while, and we sent speed networking things. So we added people to our database, and there was a few examples, Maureen, where we invited people to speed networking, and they said, "Oh, can I talk about a virtual assistant?" So it's just for touching these people, offering something of value. A lot of people really appreciate it.
Yeah. And then if there's people who don't, because I want to, be really honest too. There's some people who'll say, you're spamming, or this is not, not working for me. Then you've got your VA to support that person as well and say, hey, okay, we won't send you anything anymore, or whatever it is. So it's not a machine; it's a person at the end of the keyboard, and they'll be really considerate to the needs of the people that you're dealing with. So really, really highly recommend private messaging to people, your LinkedIn connections, and so many people just don't do it. And so many people do it the wrong way by just, pushing stuff in people's faces and just trying to sell. Whereas always that attraction marketing or offering something just to see if that's something that they might like a free resource or a free event or whatever it is.
But there's more. So as you'll see on the next slide, virtual assistants can also help you engage with your contacts. So there's a number of different ways that they could do that. So they can go, great, let's organise time for you to meet Carmen. How are you positioned for 10 a.m. on Tuesday or whatever? They can send them birthday messages. And we've got some examples later in the presentation of birthday messages that they can send out. They can say, hey, congratulations on your work anniversary, or anything you can really dream of, can't they, Maureen?
Yeah. And it's like, again, they hold the relationship safe for you when they're in, they're looking in LinkedIn every day, your amazing virtual assistant. And so, like, I feel like people are looked after, and your contacts are being treated really well. And then sometimes people will write, message, or, and then your VA can share that message with you if it's a personal message or an old friend or whatever, so you don't miss it. Yeah. So they really do support you in that way.
Yeah, like I've just had an old friend from high school reach out. So Jonathan, will pass that on to me. He won't engage in that conversation, and it's just a great way for them to hold the balls and just let you know, which is the next one, number 10, notifying you when you need to respond to someone. So I just had a Radi from high school reach out to me. Now, Jonathan told me, hey, Carmen, this is some person claiming to be a friend from high school. And so what he'll do is he'll send me a screenshot of the message and a link to the message. So I don't even have to go into LinkedIn, try and find the message. It's just a link, and I go in and go, hey, Radi, how are you? So it's just so efficient. And last but not least, responding to people in your messages as well. So I have some contacts who will actually message me on LinkedIn saying, hey, Jonathan and Carmen, and then they'll proceed to say what they're looking for. Responding, for example, someone asked me to be on a podcast. Jonathan interacted with that person, filled out the pre-podcast information, got everything ready, put it in my calendar, and, done deal. So in between, Jonathan just said, hey, he's a person, he's a podcast, do you want to be part of it? I said yes, and then it was all done. So as you'll see on the next slide, there's a lot of things that a virtual assistant can support you with on LinkedIn, and I'm sure these are the things that Maureen documented in her amazing book, What a Virtual Assistant Can Do For You. So she's got some more details of them there, and I hate to say it, but there's more things that they can do on LinkedIn, but we're just going to stick to these, because otherwise we'd be here for forever.
Yeah, and they're a good start, because once you get a VA and you start with simple tasks, they can become more complex. So, for instance, we're hiring somebody at the moment, because we're growing, and then Carmen's using LinkedIn, and who's helping her? The VAs.
I'm like, Jonathan will reach out to organize a time. So yeah, and so LinkedIn's an awesome tool. There's so much that can be done on LinkedIn. So I think a lot of people just think, oh, a little bit of tinkering away, 15 minutes a day. It's like, no. If you want to go all out, darling, you need to go all out. And like I said, here's 11 things that you should be doing on LinkedIn, and getting support to do it. Unless you're like a baby business owner and you haven't got revenue yet and you're just scraping through, then you should do it yourself. Even then, even when I was a baby business owner, I did it myself for about a week or two. And then I got my virtual assistant because I knew that I needed to spend time talking to people rather than actually doing the detail on LinkedIn. Awesome. So that's enough of LinkedIn, and it's my baby. I've seen it work in so many businesses, so many industries. But now we're going to move over to Facebook, as you'll see on the next slide. So Facebook is not just for personal use, is it, Maureen?
No. So people often say, oh, Facebook, people just put their, their personal stuff up there. The thing is, the people putting their personal stuff up there are often business people. Like, the people are people. So even though some of the other platforms are really growing, like Insta and TikTok, Facebook is still huge. So I don't think it's dead in the water quite yet, people. So if you're not utilizing it for your business, then I think you're crazy. So definitely not just for personal use.
And there's different ways to use it. When I speak to a lead, part of our process is that Jonathan will try and find them on Facebook and actually add them. So even if they've come from LinkedIn, they'll often end up connected to me on Facebook. And then we've got groups and all sorts of things. So there's many ways that they can be touched by me from Facebook. So what I like to do is I like to merge the platforms because, like Maureen said, people are people, even if they've come from a business LinkedIn platform. So let's look at what a virtual assistant can do for you on Facebook. So you'll see on the next slide, the first thing that they can do is create content. So this is similar to what we discussed with the LinkedIn content. Now with Facebook, you might feel like you've got a little bit more leeway. My recommendation around creating content is like, pick your platform, create the content for that, and then you can use the same content on other platforms. So LinkedIn is our major source of leads, and it's our main focus. So we create our content for LinkedIn, but we use it on Facebook as well. And a lot of it works really well. What are your thoughts on that, Maureen?
Spread your content like fairy dust and make sure you put it, that's one of Carmen's sayings. I think so. I get confused.
I think I borrowed it off you, but anyway.
Yeah, maybe it was mine. Anyway, so you need to bit of sprinkling on Facebook as well, and you can reuse the content. You can divide up. So I'm a little bit. I like to divide my personal life from my business life more than Carmen does. So, for instance, my personal Facebook page is more just my kids and stuff. And then we have a Facebook group, which we're going to talk about in a little while. And then we have other business pages and groups, etc. So you can divide it if you want, or Carmen likes to, mush it all together a little bit because, she's a well-rounded person. So she'll have a bit of some business stuff on her Facebook page as well as her personal stuff. Yeah, so definitely a good place for your content.
And so you'll see on this slide, number 2 is also setting up Facebook groups. So Maureen's referred to our Facebook group. If you are a Facebook girl or boy out there, I'd love for you to come join our group. So it's Calling All Legends Doing Business Your Way. And it's a really good place to, I just enjoy hanging out there. Like, I just ask them questions I want to know the answers to. but we actually have a lot of clients in there and a lot of potential clients in there as well. So it's a great way to continue to touch them and retarget them. And by doing that, even your current clients, they're more likely to refer to you because they're consistently reminded that you're there. And so setting up your Facebook group, I always think the business owner needs to own the strategy behind this. Like, you need to own it, like what's it for, who's it for, all those things. But your team can help you with all the rest of it. So for example, you'll see in the group, we've got, that us walking with a nice background. Maureen and I didn't create that. The team did. The team post content in the Facebook group as well. So some of our existing content. Plus, we also ask really interesting questions. Well, I think they're interesting questions in there. And so Maureen and I come up with the questions, one day when we're feeling manic, we, chuck 20 questions, and then the team make sure they go up every day or every other day. And so they really help to set up our Facebook group. The other thing that they do is they monitor that Facebook group as well. So sometimes you get, a few dodgy characters in the Facebook groups, and so the team can monitor it. And so Win messaged me the other day and said, hey, I think we should, delete this person, make sure they can't rejoin, and whatever. And I'm like, yeah, sure, great, thanks for being on top of it. They can also invite people to your Facebook group. And so on Facebook, you can invite people to your Facebook group that like your page, but there's a restriction of how many you can do because Facebook doesn't want you to spam people. So you can just get your team going in every day or every couple of days and inviting people from your page. You can also invite people from your personal page as well. So, Maureen can invite people, I can invite people, but the team can do that on our behalf. And the other way you can invite people, which has been hugely successful, is you can actually message 20 people a day on Facebook saying, hey, who you're connected to, hey, we've got this group, would you like to be part of it? And so the team do that as well. And the limit on Facebook at the moment is 20 a day. And so it's this thing where you need the consistency, and the team can hold that flag for you.
Yeah. And I think it's exhausting just listening to it, Carmen. I just got to say, I was going to zone out for a little while there, not at the sound of your voice, but, at the thought of all the stuff that they do. And it is, again, it just comes back to if you want to market in your business and market consistently, then you need at least one VA to be helping you. So, and we're not saying you have to do all the platforms. You don't have to do LinkedIn, Facebook, Insta, TikTok, Twitter all at the same time. But at least choose two where you want your virtual assistant to help you market your business. So yes, definitely Facebook's another really good tool.
So I'll just run through a couple of more details of what a virtual assistant can do for you on Facebook. So you'll see on the next slide, they can also help you post content in other people's groups. Now, obviously, when you're in other people's groups, you have to sing by their hymn sheet and make sure that it's consistent. Some groups don't like swearing, and sometimes we've got swearing in our content, so we need to comply with that. But there are groups that would really appreciate your content. They can notify you of leads. So I get leads, Maureen and I get leads in our Facebook messages. It's a surprisingly common place that people contact you. Even if I originally, connected with that person on LinkedIn, often they reach out to me on Facebook. So it's quite a common way, and they can notify me of leads just like they did with the LinkedIn process. They can monitor other key Facebook groups. So have you ever been in a group where they go, hey, I'm looking for a copywriter. Oh, I'm looking for someone to help me get a virtual assistant. Oh, I'm looking for a gardener. So they can actually be in those groups and monitor them, because often the person who wins the business is the person who responds the fastest. And so we've got a client, he's a gardener, he's part of all the local groups around his area, and his virtual assistant are in those groups and able to respond to those posts on his behalf. And the other thing they can do is send birthday messages, which is something we touched on briefly with LinkedIn. And so, Maureen, do you want to talk about the birthday messages that you've been sending to people?
I think when you're marketing, it's really important to be your brand and exude the energy of your brand. And a good way to do that is through a good birthday message. And it's something that you, again, often do randomly. But what Carmen and I have done in the past is we often go to Cobram, and we're by the Murray, and we say, hey, let's do a message. So we've sung happy birthday before. I've sung happy birthday in French before. Carmen's been on her trampoline bouncing, wishing people happy birthday. The last one I did was with my two children. It was my daughter's birthday. I said, oh, this is a good opportunity. We've got a cake here and candles. Can you let's film us singing happy birthday. So what we do with these messages is then get the virtual assistants can then monitor whose birthday it is, both on LinkedIn and Facebook, and post the messages. And like, you have a written message as well, but why not make the most of that opportunity? Who would not listen to their birthday message? Who's going to be memorable? Someone going, oh, happy birthday, ! Versus Carmen jumping on a trampoline, doing a somersault, singing happy birthday upside down, or, just wait till next year.
I wish I could do a somersault, but yeah.
Or 20 burpees jumping over a fence and then, singing happy birthday or something. So it's a real opportunity, and yet it's something that often people don't do. And you really need virtual assistant to be able to make that happen. So I highly recommend you I'm sure it's a form of marketing, but it's also a form of, sending good vibes and good energy to your connections.
Yeah. And so you'll see on the next slide, it's a summary of all the things that we spoke about a virtual assistant can do on Facebook. Once again, it's not the only things they can do, but you can see that there's a lot. And so if you're one of those business owners sitting there going, oh, I should do social media marketing, but oh no, I don't get time or whatever, stop beating yourself up about it and just go get support, because unless you are like super baby business person, it is silly for you to ever even try and do these things yourself. You need to be in the strategy. You need to be the one shooting the birthday video. You need to be the one working out where your Facebook group's going to be. You shouldn't be the one doing all these things. All right, so that's Facebook. The next thing we're going to share is, you'll see on the next slide, is Twitter. So I had a bit of FOMO because I think like last year I wasn't even on Twitter. So you Google Maureen's name and Google Maureen's one of the things that pops up, like her Twitter. And so it's got really good SEO, and I just wasn't there. So I've now got a presence on it. So it's not a huge tool for us. It's not one that we're putting a whole heap of energy into, but it's good to have a presence, because if someone's going to like search for you and get, social proof, if Twitter's going to be one of their main tools, then they're going to look for you on there. And also I'm hoping that one day the Google gods will see that I'm on Twitter and put me up on the Google rankings like they have Maureen. It's a huge tool in the US and the UK as well.
Yeah. And I think also, Carmen, if to those people who are consultants, coaches, or people who want to be seen as thought leaders, then it's a really good tool to use. But as we mentioned, it hasn't been our biggest platform that we use, but it's good to have something rather than nothing. So at least, as the very minimum, have Twitter and and have key hashtags, which we'll go into in a minute, but at least set it up and get some sporadic action happening on it. So we'll just have a look at the next slide, Carmen.
Sporadic, consistent, just like maybe not every day, maybe once every week or something. So the first thing they can do is set up your blurb and your hashtags. So I see, Maureen, you've got hire a VA and outsource hashtags. So and the hashtags, I'm assuming, Maureen, that's really important for people to be able to find you.
Yes. So when people do searches, then your hashtags will show up in searches. So it's really good to think about what you're referred to, what your product or service is referred to, what your solution is referred to, so that you've got those hashtags up there.
Beautiful. And so that next thing that virtual assistant can do for you is support you with posting on Twitter. And so because it's not a primary platform for us, the team just pick, the best of the social media posts from the other places and pop it on Twitter. I think we've reduced it to once or twice a week now. But if someone goes to stalk Maureen, they're going to find something current there.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's really, really important. So it doesn't take, sometimes the stuff that your virtual assistants will be doing for you won't be taking up heaps and heaps of time. But again, it's making sure that it happens every week, because otherwise you wouldn't do it. I mean, I know myself, before we got virtual assistants, I went through a stage of going, yeah, Twitter, woo! I don't know if you've done that before. And then I was consistent for a few weeks, and it really dropped off. So it's really good to have it up to date so that people have that social proof. So just looking back at the slide again, we've talked about setting up your blurb and your hashtags, and really nice background there as well. And then number 2 is posting. So did you want to talk about posting, Carmen?
Yeah, so we've covered posting. The next is researching the key hashtags. And so when you post, you actually need to put hashtags in. Twitter is a hashtag hungry engine. LinkedIn, you can put hashtags in, but it's not as mature. And so it's about working out which hashtags you need to, put with your post so more people see it. They can also notify. Yeah.
So just before you on that, so just say there's a thought leader or someone who's a junk to you, and you go, you then retweet what they've said, then people will see you as, being a go-to source and in the know. So that's why it's quite important to, if you really are going to go out into Twitter land, and make the most of it, then it's good to know who the heavy hitters are, what sort of information you want to retweet, and because you want them to notice you as well. Yeah. So that's something really useful.
So they can notify you of leads. So I have actually got leads through Twitter, especially when we were playing on Clubhouse, and the team can notify you of leads, just like we've spoken about on LinkedIn and Facebook. They can build your Twitter followers, so they can follow people for you and, entice people to follow you back. And also by posting content, it builds those Twitter followers as well. So perhaps you've got contacts or leads on another platform. You can then go to Twitter and follow them there, and then they're more likely to follow you back as well. And they can identify influencers and engage with them. So maybe you want a meeting with a particular person. How about you have your virtual assistant identifying their content, liking it, commenting on it, maybe sending you links to comment on a few of them? That person is more likely to remember you if they've seen you engaging with their content. So I early on, I called someone up and I wanted to present at his event. And so I just called him. I said, hey, so-and-so, I'm Carmen Williams. You don't know me. And I went on to say why I was calling him. And he just stopped me. He goes, I know you. Like, what do you mean? I'm like, have I met him somewhere? Have I forgotten it? And he's like, I see you every time I log into my computer. And so if you increase your visibility across, whatever platforms these influencers are on, they're more likely to see you and notice you, and more likely to, have that meeting, let you speak at their thing. It's that know, like, and trust.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's Twitter. So next one is Instagram. So once again, Instagram is similar to Twitter for us in that it's not our primary platform. But if you go there, you will see current content both on Maureen's page, my page, and also the global team's page. It's generally a younger demographic. So I've been speaking to 20 odds recently, and they don't even have Facebook. So it depends on what age that you're looking at. And it's a really visual platform. And Maureen, I'm actually noticing my stories are going quite well on Instagram lately as well. So it's a great place to have people see you around. So the sort of things virtual assistants can help you with on Instagram is creating posts for you. And you'll see on the next slide, they can help you create posts. so they can repurpose existing things. Or if you do really want to focus on Instagram, so a lot of product-based services on Instagram who are marketing to younger demographic, they actually create posts that have a particular look for Instagram as well. So that's possible. What are your thoughts on Instagram?
Yeah, so I have a great client in the States who is world record holder actually with hooping and skating, and she has an online store called Paradise, and so she does really well on Instagram, where she can promote new items or just show her in action with the hoops or the skates or whatever else she's selling in the shop. So it's really good for products. And then she can do reels as well. So you can do really short videos that are becoming quite big on Instagram as well. We want to say, like, we're not, we're not driven mainly through Instagram. Our two babies are LinkedIn and Facebook. And we do a bit of Instagram, but some people, especially product-based businesses, can do really well on it. And other things I've seen done really well is where people use the grid itself, so all the different images to make it look really creative. So you could get your virtual assistant to do that. So there's that consistency. So there's a thing called Stories of New York on Instagram, and if you go into their Instagram page, you'll just see everyone compliments the grid next to them, and so you go in there and it emits a certain emotion and feeling when you ever go to their page. So they're all things that you can consider, and you can decide on whether those things are important to you, and you can get a VA to support you to do it.
Yeah. And so, Maureen, we've got a client who's a product-based business, and I know that they get their virtual assistant to support them to create content for Instagram or even to repurpose past content. And so it can be like changing the background. So they might have a picture of their product, but changing the background to match the Instagram. And also, I know that other clients of ours, they actually create they've got products and they give the raw images, with the appropriate backgrounds for Instagram for other people to post as well. And so it's huge for some of our clients because of the nature of the businesses that they're in. They can also follow people in your target market. So once again, if you follow someone, they might be more likely to follow you back. And you can, see the sort of content that they're producing as well. They can add videos. So there's reels, there's video, and there's stories, which can be video. So there's all these different ways that Instagram can include videos. And they can identify influencers and engage with them. So influencer marketing on Instagram is huge. So it's about working out, who are influencers and approaching them. So we've got a client that actually in the building industry of all things, and they've got a virtual assistant who are reaching out to what they've called micro influencers. So not the big boys, but the smaller ones, with actually an offering to collaborate. And so the virtual assistant coordinates all of that, keeps a spreadsheet, works it out, and gets those influencers engaged. And so if the influencers share the product with their market, and then there's that collaboration there. So Instagram can be really powerful. So, Maureen, we've shared the sort of things a virtual assistant can support you with on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So the thing is, there's so much a virtual assistant can do. There's so much that you need to do if you want to be present on all these things. I think the key message is, like, social media is useful, it's really amazing, but you can't do it all yourself.
No, you need to own a strategy, but to even own a strategy, you need to think about it and have time to think and time to get clear on where you want to be and how you want to be seen and all that, beautiful, wonderful stuff that you need to work out. And it's a journey as well. So if you get support in your business, if you get a virtual assistant helping you doing your marketing, not only is it, as we've covered today, helps you get yourself out there consistently, it helps you get yourself out on more than one platform. It helps you have a presence on platforms that you may not even be using that much, but if they Google you, they're able to find you. And they also add in a little bit of accountability for you in your marketing as well, because they will be there going, okay, well, hey, Maureen and Carmen, we need another 20 questions to ask the group. Can you come up with some questions, or do you want me to, ask ones that you used last year? So they give that accountability aspect to it as well. So there's lots and lots of goodness that comes from getting a virtual assistant or a team of virtual assistants to support you in your marketing of your business. If you want more detail around anything we've shared today, then just get a copy of the book, What a Virtual Assistant Can Do For You. So you visit globalteams.com.au/book and just put in your email, and we'll send you an electronic copy. I did it last year at the start of COVID, actually, and I started writing things and just kept writing because there was so much to offer. Obviously, there's things, these days you can use the same principles with other things. So just say you've gone, no, actually, I think my audience is on TikTok. The same principles are going to be in the book. So, what you're doing on Instagram, potentially you might want to do similar things on TikTok, or you can merge the ideas or spark. The content of the book may spark ideas for you as well. So just think you are doing a disservice if you're not putting yourself out there, Carmen. And what do you need to put yourself out there?
You need to be brave, and you need a virtual assistant or two.
Excellent. So if you want to be brave, and you want a virtual assistant, and you think you might be ready, then download the book. If you read it and go, yes, that's me, I've got a good business model, I've got cash flow, and I really want to talk to Carmen to make it happen, then if you feel you're really ready, then you can go to our website as well and book a meeting.
Awesome. Have fun. A lot of people who have ended up speaking to me have told me that Maureen's book has been very helpful. It's helped them to get clear around the sort of things that they want support in. And then it's up for them and I to work out practically how that could work, if it's viable and all those things. So grab Maureen's book. I highly recommend it. Then happy to have a chat afterwards if you think it might be something you'd like to explore further. So thank you, Maureen, for sharing all your genius and your stories. And see you later, everyone.
Bye. See you.